Long before pockets jingled with the sound of metal, the diverse peoples of southern Africa had their own sophisticated systems of trade. They did not use coins as we know them today. Instead, they exchanged goods directly in a process we call barter. Beautiful beads, strong cattle, and expertly crafted metal tools were all forms of wealth, each with its own recognized value. This was a world where a person's riches were not counted but seen in the herds they owned or the intricate ornaments they wore. It was a practical and deeply personal way of conducting commerce, woven into the very fabric of society, where relationships were as important as the items being traded. Then from across the vast oceans came the ships of the Dutch East India Company, dropping anchor at the Cape of Good Hope in the 17th century. These sailors and settlers brought with them a completely new concept: money in the form of coins. The first coins to circulate in this land were not South African at all. They were a curious mixture from all corners of the globe. There were Dutch guilders, Spanish doubloons, Portuguese race, and Indian rupees. It was a truly international collection, a testament to the Cape's new role as a vital refreshment station on the busy sea routes to the east. For the local Khoikhoi and the arriving settlers, this assortment of foreign currency became the new language of trade. Imagine the scene at the bustling Cape Town harbor. A farmer might sell his fresh vegetables for a handful of gleaming Dutch guilders, while a trader might use a heavy Spanish silver dollar to purchase supplies for a long voyage. This medley of currencies, however, often caused confusion. Each coin had a different weight, was made of a different metal, and had a value that could fluctuate. To bring some order to this monetary chaos, the Dutch authorities sometimes counter-stamped foreign coins with a special mark, a small symbol to verify their value and make them officially accepted at the Cape. This was one of the very first steps towards creating a unique monetary identity for the region. This period was a fascinating transition. The old ways of barter did not disappear overnight. They continued alongside the new coin-based economy for a very long time, especially in areas further away from the main settlements. But the introduction of coins planted a seed that would eventually grow into a national system of currency. The jingle of these foreign coins was the first sound of a new economic era dawning at the southern tip of Africa. It was the beginning of a long and extraordinary journey, a story that would eventually be told in silver, gold, and bronze, minted right here on this land. At the dawn of the 19th century, a new power arrived on the shores of the Cape. The British Empire, with its vast global reach, took control, and with it came a new system of money. The colorful and chaotic mix of international coins was gradually swept away, replaced by the solid and dependable currency of Great Britain pounds, shillings, and pence. This was a deliberate move to integrate the Cape Colony into the wider British economic world. Suddenly, the familiar face of the British monarch began to appear in the hands of people from Cape Town to the distant frontiers, a constant and tangible reminder of who was now in charge of this strategic land. The most magnificent of these new coins was the gold sovereign. It was a coin of immense prestige and value, recognized and trusted across the entire British Empire. Each sovereign contained a specific amount of pure gold and featured a beautifully detailed portrait of the reigning king or queen on one side, and a classic design of St. George slaying a dragon on the other. For important transactions, such as buying land or financing large trade ventures, the sovereign was the standard. Its presence brought a new level of stability and uniformity to the economy, replacing the uncertainty of the old, mixed currencies with the predictable might of British sterling. Alongside the golden sovereign, a whole family of British coins became commonplace. There were silver crowns, half-crowns, florins, shillings, and the small sixpence and threepence coins. For everyday purchases, people used copper pennies, halfpennies, and farthings. School children learned to count in this new system, and shopkeepers displayed their prices in shillings and pence. The transition was not always easy, as people had to adapt to the new denominations and values, but the overwhelming influence of the British administration meant that sterling soon became the dominant currency throughout their South African territories, including the Cape and Natal. The introduction of British currency was more than just an economic change. It was a powerful symbol of colonial rule. Every time a person held a coin bearing the image of Queen Victoria, they were holding a piece of the empire. This monetary system connected the distant colony to the heart of London, reinforcing its place within a global network controlled by Britain. This period laid the groundwork for South Africa's first own national coinage, but it would be inspired by and modeled on the very British system that was now so deeply embedded in the daily life of its people. The stage was set for the next chapter, where a new republic would challenge this authority and create its own money. In the interior of southern Africa, far from the British-controlled coast, the Boer pioneers had established their own independent states. The most prominent of these was the Zuid-Afrikaanse Republiek, or ZAR, also known as the Transvaal. Its fiercely independent people, led by their president Paul Kruger, dreamed of a nation with all the symbols of sovereignty, and one of the most important symbols of all was its own currency. They did not want to use the coins of the British monarch. They wanted coins that represented their own identity, their own struggles, and their own leader. This desire for monetary independence was a powerful driving force for the Republic. The discovery of a mountain of gold in the Witwatersrand in 1886 provided the wealth needed to turn this dream into a reality. With this immense new resource, the ZAR had the means to create its own mint and produce coins that could rival any in the world. In 1892, the first ever national coins of South Africa were struck. These were the famous Kruger coins. On one side, they proudly displayed the coat of arms of the ZAR, featuring a lion, a Boer soldier, and a wagon, symbols of their heritage and strength. This was a declaration in metal, a statement to the world that they were a proud and self-governing nation. On the other side of these coins was a portrait that would become iconic, the rugged, bearded face of President Paul Kruger himself. This was highly unusual at the time, as most countries featured monarchs or symbolic figures like liberty on their coins. Placing a living president on the currency was a bold statement of national pride and loyalty to their leader. The coins were produced in a full range, from the small bronze penny up to the magnificent gold pound, which was made to the exact same size and gold content as the British sovereign, a direct challenge to its imperial rival. These Kruger coins are now cherished by collectors, not just for their historical importance but also for their fascinating stories. For instance, the very first batch of shillings had a design flaw on the wagon, showing two shafts instead of the correct single one, making them incredibly rare. During the Second Boer War, when the British forces captured the capital, Pretoria, the Boers established an emergency mint in a remote area and produced simple, rugged-looking veldpande from local gold. These coins, struck in the midst of conflict, are powerful symbols of the Boer determination to maintain their independence to the very end. After the turmoil of the Boer War, a new chapter began in 1910, when the former Boer republics and British colonies were brought together to form the Union of South Africa. Although it was a self-governing dominion, the Union remained firmly part of the British Empire. This political reality was directly reflected in its new currency. The coins of the Union, first issued in 1923, were almost identical in size, weight, and value to their British counterparts. The system of pounds, shillings, and pence was retained, and the coins themselves had a distinctly British feel, a clear sign of the continued connection to the crown. The most striking feature of these coins was the portrait of the British monarch on the obverse, or heads side. Just like coins in Britain, Australia, and Canada, South Africa's money featured the King of England. The first series showed the uncrowned portrait of King George V. When he died, he was succeeded by his son, and so the coins from 1937 onwards bore the image of King George VI. This meant that as the monarchy changed in London, the portraits on the coins circulating in the streets of Johannesburg and Durban changed as well, linking the nation's daily commerce directly to the royal family thousands of miles away. The reverse, or tails side of the coins, however, was where South Africa began to express its unique identity. While the values were British, the design started to incorporate local themes. The farthing featured two sparrows, a common sight in the region. The larger silver coins depicted a beautiful protea flower, which would later become the national flower. The springbok, a graceful antelope, appeared on the sixpence and the gold sovereign. These designs were a quiet but clear celebration of South Africa's magnificent natural heritage, a hint of a growing national consciousness separate from the overarching empire. This era of coinage continued for several decades, even after King George VI passed away. A small number of coins were minted in 1953, bearing the portrait of the newly crowned Queen Elizabeth II, making them the last South African coins to feature a British monarch. These coins represent the end of an era. They are relics of a time when South Africa's identity was intertwined with that of Great Britain. The country was on the cusp of a monumental change, ready to sever its final ties with the monarchy and forge a new path as a republic with a completely new currency of its own. The year 1961 was, a watershed moment in South African history. The country voted to leave the Commonwealth and become a republic, cutting its constitutional ties with the British monarchy. This profound political shift demanded an equally significant change in its currency. The old system of pounds, shillings, and pence, a legacy of the colonial era, was replaced by a new, modern, and proudly South African system. On the 14th of February 1961, the nation introduced the rand and the cent. This was a process known as decimalization, making calculations much simpler by having 100 cents in one rand. The name rand was chosen for a very specific reason. It is a shortened form of Witwatersrand, the name of the ridge of hills near Johannesburg where vast deposits of gold were discovered in the 1880s. This gold rush had transformed the country's economy and powered its development for decades. By naming the new currency after this place of immense wealth, South Africa was honoring its own economic heartland. The new rand was initially valued at 2 rand to 1 pound, ensuring a smooth transition for the public and for businesses as they adapted to the new system. The design of the new coins also marked a clear break from the past. The portrait of the British monarch was gone forever. In its place, the coins featured the portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, the Dutch commander who established the first permanent European settlement at the Cape in 1652. This choice was symbolic, looking back to the very beginnings of European history in the region, rather than the more recent British connection. The reverse designs continued to celebrate South Africa's stunning wildlife, with the familiar springbok now appearing on the silver 1 rand coin, the new flagship of the currency. The introduction of the rand was a huge success. It was a symbol of modernity and national self-determination. The public quickly adapted to the new coins, which included bronze half-cent, 1 cent, and 2 cent pieces, as well as nickel 5, 10, 20, and 50-cent coins. For many South Africans, this new money felt truly their own for the first time. It was no longer tied to a distant empire but was born from the country's own history and resources. This new currency laid the foundation for the decades to come, and created the perfect environment for the launch of what would become the most famous gold coin in the world. In 1967, South Africa introduced a coin that would change the world of gold investment forever. This was the Kruger Rand. Now, it wasn't intended to be used for everyday shopping like other coins. Instead, it was created for a very special purpose, to make it easy for ordinary people, not just wealthy collectors or banks, to own gold. At the time, South Africa was the world's largest producer of gold, and the Kruger Rand was a brilliant way to market this precious metal to a global audience. It was a revolutionary idea, a coin designed not for spending, but for saving and investing. The genius of the Kruger Rand lies in its design. One side features the same iconic portrait of Paul Kruger that appeared on the old ZAR coins, connecting it to a proud chapter of South African history. The other side shows a beautiful prancing springbok, the national animal. Most importantly, the coin was minted to contain exactly 1 troy ounce of pure gold. This made it incredibly easy for investors to track its value, as it moved up and down with the daily market price of gold. Unlike gold bars, which were often large and expensive, the 1-ounce Kruger Rand made gold ownership accessible to many more people. The Kruger Rand was an immediate and phenomenal success. Throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, it dominated the global gold coin market. At its peak, it accounted for over 90% of all gold coins sold in the world. People in America, Europe, and Asia bought Kruger Rands as a way to protect their savings against inflation and economic uncertainty. The coin became a household name, a universal symbol of wealth and security. To meet the incredible demand, the South African Mint later introduced smaller versions, including a half-ounce, quarter-ounce, and 10th-ounce Kruger Rand, making it even easier for people to start investing in gold. However, the coin's journey was not without controversy. During the 1980s, many countries, including the United States, banned the importation of Kruger Rands as part of economic sanctions against South Africa's apartheid government. This caused sales to plummet, but ironically, made the coins that were already in those countries even more sought after. After the end of apartheid in the 1990s, these restrictions were lifted, and the Krugerrand regained its status as a leading and highly respected bullion coin. Today, it remains one of the most traded and trusted gold coins on the planet, a golden legacy of South African ingenuity. With the dawn of a new democratic South Africa in 1994, the country's coins underwent another transformation to reflect the spirit of the Rainbow Nation. The portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, associated with the old era, was removed from the main circulation coins. In its place, the nation chose to feature its national coat of arms. This new coat of arms, introduced in 2000, contains the motto, KEE/Zara/Key, written in the Khoisan language of the /Zam people, which means diverse people unite. This powerful message of unity and inclusivity was now present on every single coin used in daily transactions. The reverse sides of the coins were also redesigned to create a beautiful and cohesive celebration of South Africa's natural treasures. A new series of coins was introduced, each denomination showcasing a different aspect of the country's rich flora and fauna. The 5-cent coin features the blue crane, South Africa's national bird. The 10-cent coin depicts the elegant arum lily. The 20-cent piece shows the protea, the national flower, while the 50-cent coin displays the striking bird of paradise flower. This focus on nature was a way to unite all South Africans around a shared heritage that transcends political and cultural divisions. The higher value coins continued this natural theme. The 1 Rand coin features the springbok, a graceful antelope that has been a symbol on South African coins for generations. The 2 Rand coin showcases the kudu, with its magnificent spiral horns, and the largest circulation coin, the 5 Rand, carries an image of the black wildebeest, an animal symbolic of the vast grasslands of the Highveld. These designs are not just decorative, they serve as miniature metallic reminders of the incredible biodiversity that the country is famous for, turning everyday pocket change into a small gallery of natural art. Over the years, the metals used to make these coins have also changed. Originally, the Rand and cent coins contained a fair amount of silver and nickel. However, as the cost of these metals rose, the mint began to use more affordable materials like copper-plated steel and nickel-plated copper. The 5 Rand coin is bimetallic, with a bronze-colored outer ring and a silver-colored center, making it instantly recognizable by sight and touch. These changes ensure that the cost of making the coins remains lower than their face value, a practical necessity for any modern currency system. Beyond the coins we use every day for buying groceries or paying for bus fare, the South African Mint produces special coins to mark important events and celebrate national heroes. These are called commemorative coins. They are like metallic monuments capturing a moment in time and preserving it for future generations to discover. They are often produced in limited numbers and made from precious metals like silver or gold, making them highly sought after by collectors. These coins tell the story of the nation's journey, its triumphs, and its most cherished values in a way that is both beautiful and lasting. One of the most significant commemorative coins was the R5 coin issued in 2008 to celebrate the 90th birthday of Nelson Mandela, the nation's first democratically elected president. This was the first time a circulation coin in South Africa featured the portrait of a person since the days of Paul Kruger. The coin, with its smiling image of Mandela, was incredibly popular and became a treasured keepsake for millions of South Africans. It was a powerful tribute to a global icon of peace and reconciliation, and it brought the art of coin collecting into the lives of many ordinary people who wanted to hold on to this piece of history. Another important series of commemorative coins celebrates South Africa's journey to democracy. In 2004, a special R2 coin was released to mark 10 years of freedom. It featured the words 10 years of freedom in all 11 of the country's official languages, circling the national coat of arms. This was a beautiful and inclusive design that reflected the multicultural character of the new South Africa. Later, in 2019, another series of R2 coins was issued to mark 25 years of constitutional democracy, with each coin highlighting a different right and freedom guaranteed by the Constitution, such as the right to education and freedom of movement. The themes for commemorative coins are wonderfully diverse. There are coins that celebrate South Africa's sporting achievements, such as winning the Rugby World Cup. Others pay tribute to scientific breakthroughs like the first successful human heart transplant performed in Cape Town by Dr. Christiaan Barnard. The South African Mint has also produced stunning series that showcase the country's prehistoric past, with dinosaurs and ancient human ancestors intricately engraved on gold and silver. Each of these coins is a miniature work of art, a conversation starter, and a tangible link to the people, places, and events that have shaped the nation. The institution responsible for creating all of these incredible coins is the South African Mint. Its history is as rich and fascinating as the coins it produces. The first mint was established in Pretoria in 1892 by President Paul Kruger of the ZAR. After the Union of South Africa was formed, a new branch of Britain's Royal Mint was opened in Pretoria in 1923. For nearly 2 decades, this facility produced the Union's coins. Finally, in 1941, it was taken over by the South African government and became the official South African Mint, the very same institution that operates today. Today, the South African Mint is one of the most advanced and respected mints in the world. Located in Centurion, between Pretoria and Johannesburg, its state-of-the-art facility is responsible for producing not only all of South Africa's circulation coins and the famous Kruger Rand, but also coins for many other countries across Africa and the world. The Mint's skilled artists, engravers, and technicians work together to transform simple blocks of metal into miniature masterpieces. From the initial design sketch to the final striking of the coin, every step is carried out with incredible precision and care. For coin collectors or numismatists, some South African coins are true treasures, worth far more than their face value. The rarest and most valuable are often those with a unique story or a mistake in their minting. The 1892 ZAR Red Flag Pond, so called because of a rumor that the German die engraver was a British spy, is extremely valuable. The Single 9 Pond from 1898, a unique pattern coin, is one of the world's most sought-after rarities. The 1931 Tikkie, a small silver 3-pence coin, is also incredibly rare because only a small number were produced for a specific purpose, making it a key prize for any collector of Union coins. The world of coin collecting in South Africa is vibrant and full of discovery. Collectors seek out specific years, rare editions, and proof sets which are specially minted coins with a mirror-like finish. The commemorative R5 coins, especially the Nelson Mandela series, are very popular starting points for new collectors. Whether it's a rare gold veldpond struck during a time of war, a silver shilling bearing the image of a British king, or a modern R2 celebrating democracy, each coin tells a part of South Africa's magnificent story. It is a journey from barter to the British pound, and from the Kruger Pond to the modern rand, a history you can literally hold in the palm of your hand.